Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in to the Convicted Podcast again today. I just want to get a few things out of the way real quick. We just launched the web stores that we are doing now. If you'd like to check out more, go to convictedprinting.com/web store, and that can give you more information. We also just launched that we can print on face cloth masks. If you want to get some of those, we just launched a deal about that. Check out our page for more information on that. We want to be able to bring value to you as much as possible. So if you ever hear something with the podcast that you would like discussed more, let us know, and we would like to add that into the podcast. So with all that being said, I'm really excited for each one of these that we're doing, and I really think they're going to bring a lot of value to a lot of people. So let's check it out. Hey, Chris, how you doing, man?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm super happy to have you here on the podcast. I was really glad that we were able to talk a little bit on your live stream on Instagram that you had a little bit ago.
Yeah. We're just trying to find ways to keep active during these times.
Absolutely, because I know for some more than others, they have a lot more time on their hands because maybe they aren't doing the essential job or whatever.
Yeah. It's I don't know. It's a crazy time we're in right now.
Very. What's really crazy is so I've been doing Uber Eats a lot lately because it picked up, obviously. And going through the parking lots and just seeing so few cars there, all the time.
Yep.
Traffic's better.
Traffic is
I can say that.
You can get to and from places way faster.
Absolutely. But yeah, Chris, would you mind sharing with everyone that's listening kind of like a little bio about who you are, what your band is, maybe a little bit of your background so they can kind of know where you're coming from?
Yeah. My name is Chris. I play drums. Play drums in a band called Bodysnatcher right now. I've been in the band for a little over 2 years, and I'm also a recording engineer, and I've also been a full-time touring musician since 2007 or 2006. And that's who I am.
All right. That's awesome. So you said you were a professional touring musician since 2007?
Yeah, I've been touring. Well, I graduated high school in 2006, but I started touring earlier that year. So when I was in high school, I did a month-long tour, and my school gave me C credits for the whole month that I was gone. They gave me passing credits because they thought it was cool that I was in a band that actually went out of Florida. You know what I mean?
For sure.
And then I had another tour that year, and then they kicked me out of school for missing too many days.
Oh my goodness.
I've basically been touring since that moment. Yeah.
Okay. And so when you said you've been doing it professionally, were you in your band at that time, or did you just go to different bands, or how did that look for you?
I was always in the same band. I was in a band called King Conquer, and in 2006 we were actually named something else, but we were a completely independent band. And sorry, my mic keeps falling down. We were a completely independent band, and we booked back then. It was just MySpace. I mean, I don't even know MySpace was really popping right then. There's a thing called LiveJournal back then.
I don't even remember LiveJournal.
LiveJournal was how we promoted a lot of shows back then.
Wow.
And then MySpace became more popular. It was so easy to book your own tours on MySpace because back then there weren't a lot of underground bands that were playing outside of their home state. You know what I mean? So promoters were like, "Oh, you're a band from Florida that's just trying to play South Carolina? Of course we'll book you." And the shows were insane. I remember our first show out of state ever was 250 people. And
nice.
you know. And so yeah, we booked all of our own stuff, and then eventually ended up getting signed to Media Scare Records, and then we were just on the road. Like there was 1 year out of 365 days, I think I was home for 40.
Really? All with that one band?
Yeah,
That's a lot.
yeah, it was rough. 2011 was one of the craziest years for touring that I've ever done.
So did you get set up on a lot of those, or was it DIY most of the time?
Once we got signed to a record label,
Mm-hmm.
like we had a booking agent and manager, and it was just constant.
Really?
Yeah, we didn't. Once we got signed, it wasn't on us anymore. It was just like we had tours constantly.
That's awesome. So you said you started DIY with MySpace, right? And then with any of the other bands that you were in over time, did you end up having to do anything else DIY for your experience, or?
I was in King Conquer up until 2013, and then in 2013, I actually stopped touring. I quit the band, one because our label was just horrible. I mean, we got signed to the label in 2010, so we were only on label for 3 years. But in those 3 years, we toured so much and made so little money.
Mm.
It wasn't like, I don't know. It was rough. Our label really put us in a bad spot. We were stupid when we signed. We were all really young, and we got a really bad record deal. And they had the rights to most of our money that was made, because right then was like right when the CD sales started really dropping, when like the switch from hard copy to digital was like nobody really knew what to do yet.
Yep.
All the record labels were doing a thing called a 360 deal, where the label got a percentage of everything, not just your album sales and stuff. So while we were on the road, they got 20% of our gross income.
Jeez, that's a lot.
And then they also got 50% of all of our income from in stores and online. But we never saw any of that. We never got our 50%.
Oh man.
But we all, on top of that 20% on the road, you also have to pay 10% to your booking agent. You also have to pay 15% to your manager. So we were like barely making enough gas money to get from show to show. And like, I mean, we were on tour. We did sick tours. Like we did tours with Molotov Solution, As Blood Runs Black, Suffocate, Blind Witness. We did a lot of really good tour and made zero, and I mean zero money.
Jeez.
So in between those tours, 2013, this is what happened. In between those tours, I was working there was a cover band where I'm from right now, and they were paying, like in between tours, they would give me a job doing like tech work, basically. They played 5 nights a week, but it was all in town. And they would pay me $100 a night to set up stage and tear down stage every night. And then they were eventually 2013, they were like, hey, you want to play drums for us and we'll pay you $700 a week cash? And I was like, yeah. Because that was like the first time I would ever, because I lived on my friends' couches for like years. You know what I mean? I slept on couches for 5-6 years while I was touring all the time. And, you know,
right, because it's kind of hard to justify to have your own place when you're gone so long.
You know, you're out and then you're home for a week, and then you're out and then you're home for 2 weeks. You know, and it was rough. But yeah, they gave me a job, and I was finally able to like get my own place because I was making enough money, and blah blah blah. And then that's when I started recording bands actively. And I recorded a Bodysnatcher record, and that's how I met Bodysnatcher, was recording Death of Me.
Through recording. Awesome. So let's talk a little bit about with the record deal that you were talking about. So for others who may have signed one, or may have signed their first one, or may have not signed yet, what would you say are some things to look out for or to be aware of when it comes to looking for a record label And on top of that, do you feel like that still applies a lot to this day, or do you feel like there's a shift in something?
There's definitely a major shift. I think right now, up until you reach a certain point, you do not need a record label anymore. Yeah, I mean, I think even there's bands that I know right now that are massive bands that haven't announced it yet, but they are about to release records independently, and I mean huge bands. And so right now, I feel like you don't need a label up until a certain point, and then it helps because mainly I'd say the only reason it helps is because they can actively track your sales,
Mm-hmm.
like legit, so that helps bigger and better tours and stuff like that. But up until a certain point, you don't need that because there's bands like, you know, Victims. I don't know if you know Victims.
Mm-hmm. I know
Yeah,
Victims.
there's bands like Victims that, their tours, they'll draw 100 kids a night, so you can get on tours with bands like that aren't signed bands, but they're still known. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so up until you surpass bands like that, I don't think you even need to be looking for a label. You need to be looking for a booking agent and a manager, and
Mm-hmm.
those are the two that are really going to help you when you're first starting out. A record label is just, it's not needed until you reach like the C and B market tours.
Gotcha. So I guess would you mind, because this is something that I don't think we've talked about on the podcast directly before. Would you mind kind of explaining a little bit of a difference with what is the booking agent? What does the manager do? Like, what should you be looking for when it comes to those things?
Booking agents will basically book you tours or get you on other tours that other agents have booked, or you know what I mean, or put you on tours that they're booking with some of their larger bands that they work for. If you don't have a booking agent, it is hard to get on legit tours that are actually going to do well. Like
Mm.
you can book your own tour, but it's more 9 times out of 10, there's only going to be 20 to 30 people at every date if you don't have a name built up for yourself yet. If you have a booking agent, they can put you on with some of the other bands they work with that are larger bands that do have more of a following. So you're going to benefit from that because there's going to be more people that have never heard of you before.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be playing in front of people that have never heard of you before. That's how you grow your band. If you do the same tour over and over again and you're playing in front of the same faces every time, your band's not going to grow. So that's why you need a booking agent. You need a manager because your manager can also help you get on bigger and better tours because they can vouch for you. If you have no one that has a name in the industry that people trust, it's going to be really hard to get your foot in the door with some of those bigger tours.
Mm.
So a lot of what it takes to get on bigger tours when you're first starting is having somebody credible to vouch for you.
I gotcha. So, definitely.
That's what I would say. So, I mean, honestly, having a booking agent and a manager when you're starting out is the best help that you can get.
For sure. And I guess the next question would be, since that gives a really good definition of those differences, like how does a newer band look for a booking agent? How do they look for a manager? Like, what should they look for?
I mean, I would say look for somebody who does work with bands that are slightly larger than your band. I wouldn't right off the bat go to trying to get with a management company that works for Chelsea Grin or so,
Mm-hmm.
But look for a management company that has a lot of those that is building a lot of those startup bands that you see. Oh, they worked with this manager before they moved on to this. You know what I mean? So look for a lot of larger bands, old management companies.
That makes
because
sense.
a lot of those management companies are the ones that focus on bands' startup opportunities, you know.
Hmm.
And you know, a lot of those management companies will charge a monthly rate, and I think that that's a no-go. I don't support that at all. If you're trying to find a manager, try and find a manager that's going to take a percentage off what the band brings in, because if the band's not bringing any money in and you're still paying them that monthly fee, in my opinion, that's not fair.
Makes sense.
So, I mean, when you're taking a percentage, when they're taking a percentage, I feel like it makes them work harder to get you to make money, because the more money you make, the more money they make.
Right. And it kind of is like, I want them to succeed because when they succeed, that means I'll succeed too, type of thing.
Yep.
Absolutely. I really like the idea that you gave with research, in a sense. You know, like who are some bands that you look up to? Can you find some history, you know, and see where they started and try to kind of follow a similar path?
Yeah, exactly. And also, it's like, look at bands that are signed to somewhat smaller labels. Like, I mean, and in Bodysnatcher's case, we're signed to Stay Sick. Stay Sick is a smaller, like, startup type label. It's not like Roadrunner Records or Sony or something like that.
Right.
You know, it is a fairly small label. So look at who's managing a lot of the bands that are on those startup labels. You know, and also look at the smaller bands on those labels, not the bigger bands, and see what are managing them. Also, a lot of people that are in bands right now, like a lot of the younger kids that are in bands right now, they know a lot of the other bands that aren't huge yet. You know, they know bands like Victims and Born Anew and Distinguisher, and you know, they know a lot of these upcoming bands. So look who's managing those upcoming bands.
Absolutely. I like that you differentiate the difference because a label can have smaller bands and bigger bands, but they might treat them a little bit differently. So like if you want to see what bracket you would fit in, I
Yes,
guess.
and also narrow it down even further in the genre, and narrow it down even further to what types of crowds are going to see those bands, you know. So like, you want to, the best thing you can do is narrow down as far as possible before you even start to email people.
Mm-hmm. Now,
And
is there something else to be said? I didn't mean to cut you off if I did. I'm sorry if I did. So is there something to be said about what you as a band can bring to the management? Because like there's one thing to look for, what can they bring to you, but should you also be looking at what can you bring to them?
yeah, 100%. Yeah. I mean, no matter what, a manager or booking agent, if you're not good, they're not going to work with you. You know, like bands need to, there's a lot of startup bands that, because it's their first band, when it comes to songwriting and song structure, it's like all kind of out the window in their own head because they've never had a band before. And I mean, I was like that too. Like the first stuff that I ever wrote, I was like, oh my god, this is so sick, you know, because it's your own music, you know, it's the first thing you've ever written. But bands need to really step back and listen as cautiously as they can to their own music, and really listen as an outsider, because one, you don't want to directly copy anybody that's already an established name, because people are going to hear it and they're going to be like, wow, that band sounds exactly like this band, you know. And two, you have to make sure that it's actually good, that people are going to like it, you know. And you need to really take a step back and listen for stuff like that, because if it's not, no one's even going to give you a chance.
Right,
So
because it's like a carbon copy type of thing.
exactly. And not only that, you have to, one, have a great recording. Don't try and cheap out and get a crappy recording. Two, have a great music video. I'm not talking spend $300 for some kid to do. I'm like if you can save up, you got 5 people in your band, you know what I mean? If each member spends $350, you can get a $2,000, $3,000 music video that's going to rip, and people are going to take you way more serious, because when a manager sees that a band is spending money on their own content to make themselves look good in front of an audience, that's going to give a manager way more incentive to want to work with you because they see you trying.
Yep, you're investing into yourself too. And like you should like if you're wanting money from someone else to give to your band, like you should know that your stuff is good enough to put that money into. So like if you're willing to put the money in yourself,
everyone should be thinking about other people's time in music, in the music industry, is better than money, you know, like if you have a booking agent or a manager that's willing to put their time in to work for you, like that's where it's at, you know.
That makes sense too, because it takes a lot of time to be able to make sure all those things work out properly. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And yeah, I agree about making sure it's quality. Like check for music videos, for example, like check out who you're working with, look at their portfolios, look at what else they put out. Do they seem to capture what the band is portraying?
Exactly.
You know, because it could be a really good music video, but it could not be the band. Does that make sense?
Oh,
where it's like that's not them.
Yep.
So yeah, we took a while with our newest stuff. We haven't released it yet still, but we put some money in and got it done, and so now we're just waiting type of thing.
I mean, I always like the bands that come in and record with me. If it's a band that I really like, I kind of like micromanage crap out of them without them. I don't make bands pay me for stuff like this, but like I will set up a complete release schedule for bands that come and record with me, because I've released so many records in my lifetime with a manager's help. Like I just know how it works. And so if a band comes in and they record and I really like the band, I will go through, set them up a complete release schedule and not charge them anything, because I want them to do well, you know? And I've had so many bands that have worked with me where I'll hit up one of my booking agent friends and I'll be like, yo, you have to watch this band. And 9 times out of 10, they end up getting picked up, you know?
That's awesome. Yeah, it's really important to know who you're working with and the connections that they have. Because like what you were just saying, like that's something that we always believe whenever we went in to work with anyone on any professional level. Like, let's be as good as possible just in case they know somebody and they say, check this out or whatever.
And that's what happened. There's a lot of bands, but then there'll be the bands that come in, you can tell the drummer hasn't practiced the songs, and it's like, I do not want to help a band like that, you know, like, but anytime a band comes in here, 1, they have great material, and 2, you can tell they practice those songs as a band together for months before they hit the studio. Like that is a dream.
Yep. And that makes the recording process faster. It makes everyone's life easier.
And people like me that have connections with labels, managers, and booking agents, you know, if they come in here prepared and then somebody else hears that they came in here prepared, they're like, oh shit, that band's really got their stuff together. Mm-hmm. Sorry.
No, it's fine. I slap explicit on almost all of them anyway, so it doesn't matter to me.
Whenever I do it, I like try not to cuss really bad.
I don't think anyone listening is going to be offended. Let's just put it that way. So how can people reach out to you if they do want to record with you, which everyone just heard? That means you have to practice the hell out of your music if you want to have a good impression. But like, how can they find your stuff?
Just www.1776recordings.com.
Awesome. Just 2 W's, you know.
Worldwide.
Worldwide.com.
Worldwide. Yeah.
That's awesome.
1776recordings.com.
For sure. Like as someone who does recording, do you try to stick with like one type of genre, or do you like kind of like go broad?
I mean, I've done other genres. I've done like like a Nine Inch Nails, Alice in Chains sounding album, which I love stuff like that. Um, but it's not my niche, really. You know, like I've done. I actively work with a hip hop artist from my area. He's like this little hippie kid, but he reminds me of like Little Dicky. You know who
Okay. Yep.
he reminds me of Little Dicky, and I love Little Dicky, and this kid's like really good. So I actually work with him. But other than that, I do like to stick in the hardcore, metalcore, deathcore genres.
For sure. The real question is, does he know about Pangea?
I've never heard. I don't know. What is that?
Because that's from one of the Lil Dicky sounds. But you
Oh,
don't know about Pangea.
I haven't listened to enough Little Dicky songs, but I know every time I've seen his music videos, I'm like, all right, I love this guy. And I just started watching his TV show last night. Have you seen that?
No, I didn't know he has one.
Oh my!
What is it?
It's on Dave, and it's hilarious. It's on FX, but if you have Hulu, it's on Hulu.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, Dave! Oh my God, it's so.
I bet.
It's
So
like a show about himself. It's a show about Lil Dicky and how he got the name Lil Dicky.
oh my gosh. So I think it's important to note something that you were saying about kind of like sticking with the niche type of thing, because for any band trying to work with any different level, whether it's photographer, graphic design artist, mixing, mastering, producing, whatever, it's important to look at, will they work with what you are?
Yeah,
Like
I think, and when it comes down to any type of business, one, if you're trying to start your own business, I'm a huge believer in trying to niche down into something as small as possible, because I don't know, I feel like one, you're gonna be better at your craft, and
mm-hmm.
two, you're gonna work with the people you want to work with. And then on the opposite end as well, if you're looking for somebody, you need to find the people that have niche down, because those are the people that are going to do the best work for your niche group.
Exactly. Totally agree with that. And then, just not too long ago, like Tom's the other co-owner of Convicted Printing. We talked about it, and we just decided, like, you know what? Nope. Convicted Printing, we're only going to niche to just music industry.
Yeah,
that's all we're going to do. Yep. Now, if other people come in, we'll work with them, obviously.
Yeah. But you're not going to actively seek it out.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's exactly how I work as well. If somebody comes in, like I had a guy, so on my website, I have like this quote form. You fill out a quote and you give me all this information about you, and that's how I can send you out like a proper proposal for a recording proposal, basically. And I had this guy email me that said his group is like Luke Combs, like a country artist.
Okay.
I love Luke Combs, by the way. I listen to a lot of country because the mixes are so good. But it's like a mixture of Luke Combs meets Five Finger Death Punch, and I was like, you know what? I'm about it. I was like, all right, really sick. But and then I sent him a price, and he never got back to me.
That's unfortunate. Have you ever seen that meme that's like, there's always someone cheaper? And it's that Metallica song, but it's the guy playing the horns.
yeah.
I love that one so much. It just cracks me up every time I see it. Well, definitely. Well, I'm really glad we were able to talk about like all these different things. I really feel like a lot of this stuff is going to be helping a lot of people that are, if they're trying to grow or whatever. And I mean, maybe even some people that have been in it for a while. Because sometimes if you've been with a certain manager or a booking agent or whatever, maybe it's not necessarily what you're wanting or whatever. And it's okay to talk about that,
That's a huge thing. So like another thing that because you just said that, another thing I would like to add about having a manager and a booking agent is that just because you have a manager now doesn't mean that that manager is the right manager. And also, that manager works for you. You do not work for that manager. So you're the one that's paying him. You're the boss, and you need to know that you're the boss. You can't let them walk all over you. And it's like when you're first starting out, a lot of times you don't know what the right decision and bad decision is. So yes, it's good to kind of follow the manager for a little while, but you need to realize, hey, did this manager get me this tour, or did my band get me this tour? Like, did the manager come at me with the tour, or did this band come at me for the tour, or this guy came at the band for the tour to ask us for the tour? And you need to realize where most of the work is coming in at. And if most of the stuff you're getting isn't coming from the manager, then you need to find a different manager, because you're just giving him money for nothing at this point.
Right. Because then it's being drawn in from you.
Yes, exactly.
I guess, like, so for someone that has only had a manager for a while and they don't really know, like, how do you know how to set proper expectations?
Well, I wouldn't really say, I mean, yeah, you have to set expectations, but it's nothing huge. Basically, one,
if you don't get us that tour,
yeah, you don't need to be saying stuff like that, because that's just going to give you a bad name in the music industry. You need to have a manager that is like, turns into one of your homies, and if something's wrong on the road, like, say, hey, this we've tried to advance this show for a week now, and the promoter still hasn't gotten back to me. I mean, one, you'd probably hit your booking agent up for that. But if you don't want to hit up your booking agent, you can hit up your manager, and your manager will talk to your booking agent, so you don't have to. But basically, you want somebody that's always going to answer the phone. Always, because you never know what's going to happen. So you want somebody that no matter what, you give them a call, they answer. That's a great manager.
That's an interesting one.
You just want to know that they are constantly actively working for you, like, in a sense of our manager. I'll use we have a great manager. I love we have two managers, and I love them. Every single day, shit you not, I probably get 5 FaceTime calls a day. I'm not even on the road right now.
Jeez.
And it's always, hey, we're pushing you guys to get on this, or hey, we're pushing you guys to get on this. It's just constant information of, hey, we're trying to get you guys on this tour. We're trying to get you guys in with this, like, company or this YouTube channel or blah, blah, blah. And it's constant stuff happening,
right.
Just to try and further the group. So if you have a manager where you're on the road and they're like, hey, how much you guys doing merch tonight? And and that's all you hear from them, then get rid of them. You need a manager that's like, hey, how was the drive? How you guys holding up? Everybody feeling okay? I did this today. I submitted you to try and get on this tour 6 months from now. You want a manager that's giving you information like that, not a manager asking you guys how much money you make every single day.
Makes sense. That's some good information right there.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people can try to apply that.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. All right. So it looks like we're around the 30-minute mark. So I want to respect your time, and I really appreciate you coming on again and doing this. And I really think this could help a lot of people.
Yeah.
And if you are ever down near Brandon, Florida,
yeah,
it'd be awesome to meet up again and whatever. Especially if you guys are able to play the Noise Box at some point in the future, whenever venues open back up.
Oh, I know. It's and now I saw a thing today saying they don't think tours will start again until fall 2021.
That's a long time.
It's a really long time.
Yeah, because I did hear that things might flare up again in the winter, I guess.
Yeah, and we already had to cancel a tour that was like a tour that we didn't announce, and now we have 2 more tours that are even bigger, and now it's like, I don't know if we're gonna get to announce those yet, or I don't know. It's
We have one that's in the works for June that I don't know if it's going to work out or not.
Yep.
So we'll have to see. We will adapt as we go. We'll just keep making content, you know.
Yep.
Take the time to write. Be prepared for when everything's done. Set yourself up for success.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Chris, so much. And I'll catch you around.
Of course. Thank you.
All right. See you, Chris. Again, if you guys enjoyed this podcast, please let us know. Give us some feedback, write a review, message us something. Let us know what's helping you. Or if there's some other topic you'd like to discuss, please let us know, because we would like to add that into the podcast with our discussions to be able to help you as much as possible in being in a band, becoming more professional with that and everything. Also, huge shout out to Vradom for sponsoring us still. Please check them out. They have some awesome drum shoes and other merchandise for other musicians. And we also just launched, just so you know, another web store application. So that way it's a really quick and easy process to be able to get you, if you have a logo ready to go, we can just quick put it on some shirts, make a web store for you to be able to sell to your friends and family and other fans. And that way, hopefully everything can help move things forward during this time of uncertainty. So yes, please let us know if everything was good. Thank you guys for listening. We love you guys, and we'll catch you next time.